Welcome to Creative Piecemeal Podcast, a podcast for creatives. I'm your host, Tchami Takeishi. Join me for compelling conversations with artists, actors, authors, musicians, and other creatives about the impact of the creative and fine arts in their lives and our ever-changing world. Thank you for listening. Hello, and welcome to Creative Piecemeal Podcast. I am so excited to be joined by Loren Smith. He is a very talented musician and composer. He's got such a velvety voice. I can't wait for you all to dig in and hear his music. But he is a Bay Area native and a proud member of a huge musically gifted family that created and nurtured his love of music. Singing his first solo at age 3, Smith's music has surpassed over 1.5 million YouTube views, including his first single, the summer smash Break Free, which was featured on NBC's Today Show. In addition to being a featured soloist with the Los Angeles Philharmonic, Smith's solo vocals have been featured in the motion pictures Get Out, Lincoln, Hulu's Love, Victor, and the CW's All-American, to name a few. Smith also has original compositions that have been heard on TV, such as in Jane the Virgin, Lucifer, and The Bridge. He's got such a wonderful career already going, and I'm so excited to have him on the show to amplify his projects, to answer questions about creativity, and so we're just going to dig in. In your bio, obviously, you talk about coming from a musical family, but I would love to know a little bit more about what that was like for you. Like, is there a specific person who inspired you, or a specific artist that inspired your family, or or was it just everything?
Great question. Hi, everybody. So happy to be here. My father was a pastor, but he was also one of 11 kids. And both of my grandmother was what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, guys, we're off to a great start. She was a very strong vocalist, and they were very, very intentional with their children about going, hey, you guys are all going to sing. You're all going to be at church. You're all going to be people of integrity. And I appreciate that. So growing up, that was the foundation and that was the expectation. So I remember singing as a kid, and it wasn't even a question of like, Loren, do you feel like singing? Do you want to sing? It was like, Loren, you're singing today. And it was just like, But, I went with it. And then my family has always championed me to be better. They've always not made me feel weird for loving music as much as I did and loving singing as much as I always have. And I'm so appreciative of that now. There were definitely moments as a kid where I felt a little uncomfortable because they were all such amazing musicians. And I've told this story before. I don't know if I've ever told it publicly, but I had moments where I would walk off stage after singing and either one of my aunts and one of my cousins would grab me and go, "Ooh, you didn't do no ad-libbing during that second verse. What happened there? Make sure you do better. Also, I didn't like that lick you did in the middle." So I had that instant feedback, but now I'm so grateful for it because they've really championed and supported me being the giant singing musical loving nerd that I am.
That's wonderful. I'm just curious, since you did grow up in a musical family and you've always loved music, but sometimes the things we love, we end up feeling not good enough. Did you ever struggle with imposter syndrome or feeling like you weren't good enough?
Ooh, as recently as Sunday, I did, and I still do. And I think it's okay to acknowledge those feelings, but I'm really intentional about trying to, feel it and deal it and heal it. So I try to be intentional about acknowledging that I have those feelings and then going, okay, now let's just release those, because my self-talk is very much like you were created for a purpose and you're here for a reason. And whether or not you feel like you've earned the right to be here, and that's just not just a stage, but just even on planet Earth, for anybody listening, if you feel like you haven't, or you have earned the right to be here, you belong. And because you're awake, because you're breathing, that is the confirmation that you need, that you matter, that you belong. And so I try to say those things to myself, and then I take a deep breath and go, okay, you've worked hard. And I had a college professor that used to say, a lifetime of discipline for moments of freedom. So every time I sing, I try to keep that mindset of you've worked hard, you've done the discipline, now's your time to be free. And I always keep in the back of my head, every day you live, every day I pick up a microphone, sing like it's your last time, because one day you will be right. Spoiler alert.
Very true. And, I love that you're so honest about not only having those feelings, but about how you deal with it. And the fact that it was recent, like you're successful. You've got a background and a repertoire sheet that a lot of people would be like, oh, I wish I could be like Loren Smith. And yet you still deal with those feelings. And it's very real for so many people, no matter at what level of success they're in or however they feel successful, what level of fame or not fame, it's all over. I mean, and so that's great that you're so comfortable speaking about that. What else inspires you and sort of spurs you on regularly, especially when times get hectic and you've got 2 or 3 projects spinning at once?
Great question. I feel that the first thing that comes to mind is mental health awareness. That's something that's very, very important to me. And that's something I've had an extensive journey with. I grew up with a very religious upbringing, and I'm grateful for that foundation. But it wasn't until much later in life I learned a lot about mental health and mental health awareness. And that is something that I feel is one of my assignments on this earth. So I'm very intentional with using my music and using the art I create and using hopefully the way I show up in the world to really be an advocate for, because I feel like, especially now, our world can be so chaotic and so divided. And I heard a quote the other day that really resonated with me. Somebody said, even in the news, it's not information, it's affirmation. So I really try to be intentional about saying, hey, I get it. I see you. I hear you. I have these feelings. I have these thoughts. I have these fears, these concerns, even dealing with anxieties. But if we can talk about them, hopefully it's something that we can do to encourage each other and to just not feel so alone and not feel so disconnected. Because we as a people, we are connected. I think underneath it all, if we really get silent, we are a lot more alike than we think. So yeah, I think that's one of the big things that keeps me going and going, okay, you've got a job to do. It's not just enough to sing well. And as artists, we have to sing well and songwrite and learn business and do social media and try to wear a lot of different hats. But I think the underbelly of it for me is connection and really shining a light on the fact that no matter how isolated we as individuals may feel, we are more connected. We can be more connected. I think there's hope to be more connected, and there's hope to just keep going another day.
Yeah. That's wonderful that you speak to that. I love when, artists and people who have a slightly larger platform than the average person, utilize it for good, utilize it for things like mental health awareness and things that make the world a better place. I love that, like help us with our own inner change and being better humans to then make life better for everyone else,
Yes, please. More of that. More of that.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We're going to pivot back to some music questions. I love that you have a variety of repertoire, like singing with the LA Philharmonic, but you also compose. And you're, like I said, your voice is like velvety, silky. Oh my gosh. Like, I was so excited to discover your YouTube videos recently, and I was like, where has this person been my whole life? Like,
thank you so much.
Like, I love it. Like, I'm always listening to, like, I'm really particular about the music I listen to on my commutes to and from work. And I'm a music therapist, so I'm always like hearing music all the time.
Wonderful.
So of course I'm particular. Like, it depends on my mood. It depends on like the weather, like depends on what kind of mood I want to put myself in. And like, I've instantly added your music to my rotation because I was like, yep, I need that in my life,
Oh, that's awesome. I am honored. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I was going somewhere with a question though, before I go off on that tangent. But
take your time. It'll come back.
But what I was wondering regarding the variety of what you do is, what is one of the most surprising either pieces or songs that you've sung that you that just captured your heart and you weren't expecting it?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you've been feeling burned out, stressed, overwhelmed, or exhausted, the resources and courses at the Self-Care Institute are here to support you. The Self-Care Institute was founded by Dr. Ami Kunimura and provides support for individuals and organizations with burnout prevention, burnout recovery, and stress management. I've personally taken a few of these courses and found them to be super helpful, both professionally and personally. The care you give yourself matters just as much as the care you give to others. But if self-care is difficult for you, you're not alone. And the Self-Care Institute is here to support your well-being, resilience, and sense of fulfillment at work and at home. For more information, visit selfcareinstitute.com or go to the show notes and click on the link.
Great question. And I'm going to try to switch it up and see if I can do a better job of answering these questions in less than 36 minutes each.
Oh, you take all the time you want. It's all good.
Song that captured me when I didn't expect it to. The first song that comes to mind off of the new album is Never Be the Same. I'm so grateful for that. Alan Chang is a wonderful friend of mine that called me one day and said, Loren, I wrote a song for you. And I just used lyrics that were just the words you put in your Instagram posts. And I was so honored because Alan's an incredible songwriter and he's accomplished and he is just this beautiful light in the world. And I heard the song for the first time and my immediate thought was, wow, I am so excited to sing this. But the whole purpose of the song is I'm letting go of fear. I'm releasing shame. I'm going to just let all of those things go and I will never be the same. And just that concept has shown up so many times for me. And especially in the past, I wrote a lot of music that was very much about helping the listener and kind of keeping everybody else at an arm's length. And that was just me trying to guard myself. I tend to be a very private person. So singing songs about what I'm actually going through and the fears I faced felt even all the more vulnerable, if that makes sense. So Never Be the Same comes to mind first because that was a song that was like, the first time I sang it, it just I felt it chemically in my body. I was like, I resonate so strongly with this message. And of course, I know people are thinking, well, of course you do. You wrote the words in the Instagram post. Yes. And just to sing it the way he put it together, was just wonderful. So I look forward to singing that one live. I haven't gotten a chance to sing it live yet, but we're making plans. And yeah, I love it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Regarding your compositions, you've had things in movies, you had things in TV. Can you tell me a little bit about your compositional process and even larger, your just whole creative process in general?
Ooh, I love that. Great question. When it comes to writing for me, if I'm writing for a project, generally I have pretty strong guidelines of what they're looking for, whatever the client is looking for. And that always helps to kind of help narrow me down because I can be one of those people that I will find the tangent upon the tangent upon the tangent, says everybody that's heard me speaking in this podcast. But also, when it comes to writing on my own things, it always starts with either one melody that comes up or it starts with one thought process. I released a song a couple of years ago with Colin Boyd, an incredible producer, called Can't Wait. And that song just came from the whole hook of the song is, I can't wait. And that's the whole chorus. And I was like, that can't be a hook. Like nobody else can sing that. That's going to be weird. People are going to think I'm some sort of AI robot. But I was like, but I can't let that hook go. And then I built the entire song around that. I had no clue what the song was going to be about, but and I have a voice memo of it in my phone, that melody came to me so strongly. I was like, this needs to be a hook for something. I don't know what. So that's where something like that came from. Or I have songs on the current project, Love Against the Clock. The first song that I wrote on that is, I'm thinking through the track list right now. I know track 1 is, what's track 2 on this project that I wrote? Come on, Loren. It's okay
if you look it up.
I'm like, what is this cheat? Whose album was that? Hold on. I'm looking at it right now. Thanks everybody for your grace. Break It Down. Dear goodness, that's what it is. And actually thinking about it, Break It Down wasn't even the song I was thinking of. Guys, just show me grace. Thank you for your grace. Love my flaws. Love my flaws. I think the song that comes to mind is Grow. Track 4 on Love Against the Clock is a song I wrote called Grow. And that was just about the importance of us all leaning on each other. And that was so fresh on my mind because of a conversation I'd had with a friend. So just coming from that, I sat on at the piano. I remember going to the call on me and I will be there. Yeah. And starting there and going, okay, cool. Where else can this go? Or there's a song called Better Place that I wrote after I lost my father unexpectedly. And I had sung that at a few of my live shows and I was hesitant to release it because I was like, it's pretty sad. And it's kind of one of those downers but I thought about it. I was like, we all deal with grief. We all deal with some form of losing love. And that's why I named the whole project Love Against the Clock, because I just realized we as all humans were constantly feeling this. We're constantly experiencing this idea of just love against a clock of some sort. So that's where that came from. So yeah, it either starts with an idea or a hook or a concept, and then I go from there. But I try to keep in mind what I want the listener to take away from it, not just the hook, but what's the message I want people to walk away with. Well, hopefully, I'll say it this way. Hopefully, they feel that it's something that maybe they didn't think of before. Hopefully, it's something that provides some levity, provides some hope, and provides some encouragement. Or fun. Just get up on the dance floor and shake a body part somewhere.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's wonderful.
I'm doing a terrible job of keeping these answers succinct. I promise, guys, I'm working on it. By tomorrow, I will have this down pat.
I love the long answers, actually. I love just seeing where a person's mind goes and what they think of and what they get excited about and how a question can lead to other questions or just, how the conversation morphs. So yeah, no, don't worry about it at all. This is fantastic. So
Try.
I was wondering, what is a piece of advice you have ignored for good or bad reasons, and a piece of advice that you always carry with you? This might open a can of worms, huh?
I love this question so much. What's the piece of advice that I ignored? Someone told me, Loren, you do too many things. You're going to have to pick one. Somebody said it's not smart that you background sing, that you're a solo artist, that you sing for film and television, that you write. You have to pick one. That was the advice I ignored because I can speak for living in Los Angeles, California. We are not known, living in the United States, we're not necessarily known for being affordable. So you have to have all of the hustles just to keep yourself going. And also there's so many different things that make up the complete picture of who I am. I love singing a cappella music. I love singing in groups. I love arranging. I love so many different genres. So I'm grateful that I ignored the advice to only, to pick one thing and only do that, because that's really brought me a lot of work and a lot of different flexibility. And I've met so many beautiful human beings, and I'm grateful for that.
Wonderful.
That's the advice I ignored, the advice that I still keep to this day. It was given to me in the context of singing, but I believe it goes across the board. What comes from the heart goes to the heart. And that has changed the way I perform. That has changed the way I show up, period. And that's been really good for me.
I like that so much. I'm writing it on a digital sticky note on my computer.
Yay!
Right now,
sticky.
as we speak. What is a book that you read not too long ago that you couldn't put down?
Ooh, I love behind the scenes stuff. I love, when it comes to looking at concerts, and I've been blessed to background sing and work with a lot of different artists. And I love seeing shows come together, but I love to hear the stories of the people behind the art. So I'm currently in the middle of reading Moonwalk by Michael Jackson, which I am really enjoying, just hearing just that different perspective. I think there's something so beautiful in putting yourself in someone else's shoes to get what their experience is, because it's so easy. We as people, we can only there's kind of a limit to how we can understand somebody based on what our previous experience has been. But that was one of the things I loved about acting, which is why I got to do a lot of musical theater in my world as well. But there's so much power in jumping in somebody else's shoes and experiencing life through their story and what they had to go through, because I'm always in awe of how, but even like me and my sister, I'm one of two kids. Me and my sister grew up in the same house with the same parents, and we had completely different experiences growing up in that house. So I love to hear people's stories and ask questions and just to read what their experience was and how they put things together. So I'm enjoying that book a lot. I used to be the biggest reader when I was a kid, and then I got older and had to always learn music or pay a bill, and that has taken precedence. So I'm trying to get back into reading more.
Yeah, that's great.
Send me the good shush.
Yes. Yeah, I feel you. I'm like that too with reading. You know, I have so many stacks of books that I want to get to, and life just kind of comes fast. You don't always have as much time as you hope to carve out for that, right?
Literally that. I have a whole bookcase here in this room, another book. Like there's so much I want to get to. And yeah, maybe I got to do that Kindle thing, because everybody's like, it's so great if it's in a little tablet. I'm like, that's another electronic I have to hold on to, but I digress. I'm doing better at succincting my answers. You're welcome.
You mentioned you loved reading as a kid. What is a book that really stood out when you were younger?
Ooh, when I was a kid, I loved the Encyclopedia Brown series, which is so great. And for those that are not familiar, Encyclopedia Brown was this 10-year-old kid who lived with his father, who was a police chief, and his father would bring all of his toughest cases home to his son, 10-year-old. I forget what his actual name was, but he was so smart. His nickname was Encyclopedia. And his father would bring the cases to his son. And by the time dinner was over, Encyclopedia would kind of close his eyes and he would ask for details about the case, and he would solve it every time. And what I loved about it, it was kind of like, what's the best way to describe it? It's almost like, yeah, it just was this cool adventure where they would show you the case and the story. Then you had to like flip to the back to see how the case was solved and see if you could figure out how Encyclopedia got there. And I loved it. There's so many of those books, and I am not ashamed to say I still have a few of them on my bookcase now, which for nostalgia's sake, I will absolutely grab those and have a nice childhood moment.
That's excellent. Yeah, I remember those books as a kid. I don't remember which ones I've read, but I specifically do remember those. And yeah, I liked mysteries growing up.
Yes, I did a whole lot of mysteries. Some scary stuff. Do you guys remember that book series, like Scary Stories for Kids, that really weren't for kids?
Oh, with the really creepy covers.
Yes.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Yes, that's what it is.
Those are so scary. Oh my gosh, they still scare me. I'm a grown adult.
Same, because I ran across them at a bookstore and I was like, I remember these books. And then I read them as an adult and I was like, I remember sitting on a carpet, on the reading carpet in my 5th grade elementary school class, and our teacher would just read us those stories.
Oh goodness.
And they're really good scary stories, but I was like, should we have been reading that? What is going on?
Yes. So creepy, so well done. And I can vividly picture nearly every single illustration in my brain. Like they're just burned in there.
Yep. And the illustrations were really well done, but horribly disturbing. It was a different time. It was a different time. Clearly, it was a different time. But it's so funny. I loved those. I read a lot of mysteries. There were some scary things in that vein. But yeah, I always kind of had a curiosity for things that terrified me. So I guess it kind of made it not as scary. Mm-hmm. I should say it was supposed to have made things not as scary. Great question. I love that.
Well, thank you. This is going to bring some nostalgia back, but picture yourself in high school driving around town or biking around town or walking around town with your headphones in. What top 3 albums would you be listening to at that time?
Easy, I can give you for sure. Been Brian McKnight's first solo project. SWV had just recently come out with Weak, which I still love that song. Also, they had Right Here, which is the Human Nature remix, which I love that whole. And that was back in the day where you could go and buy, first of all, you could just go and buy CDs and stuff at the store. But back then, artists would give you, like, you would buy the regular project, but then there would be a different project with covers on it, but also, sorry, not covers. What's the word I'm looking for? Remixes. That's the word I'm looking for. Excuse me. So I got a lot of stuff that was remixes of songs that I liked. But let me see. The third one would be the Brian McKnight. It would be the SWV. Who else was I listening to in high school? That could have been anyone from In Vogue. Because, yeah, In Vogue has high school. When was I in high school? So that was when the Set It Off soundtrack come from. So that was, what's it gonna be? Because I can't pretend. That song. Or my other favorite was Bone Thugs and Harmony, The Crossroads. Oh, couldn't understand a word. We didn't have the internet to tell us what the lyrics were at the time. So we were just going by the seat of our pants and just hoping we were saying the right things. But we all came together when we got to, and I'm going to miss everybody. We all knew that. We didn't know nothing else, but we had that line together. Also, how could I forget all of the Nate Dogg cuts that came out around that time? Big Nate Dogg fan. So yeah, I had I've always had kind of an eclectic ear. I've always been a fan of anybody that sings live, that sings from their heart. I was a giant Whitney Houston fan, still am, giant Michael Jackson fan, still am, Luther Vandross, Patti LaBelle. And that's just what we would term a secular artist, but I also had a whole world full of gospel artists too that I loved. I'm a giant Clark Sisters fan. I love the Winans Commissioned. I love Take Six. I know there's more. There's a whole bunch of folks. Yolanda Adams, Daryl Coley, Lawrence Matthews gets a shout out. So there's so much. I'm so grateful that even though my parents were very, very, very strict about what we could listen to, I don't feel bad about admitting now. We were very good we would listen to whatever we wanted in our house until our parents got home. And the way our house was set up, we had a front door and there was a screen door in front of it. So we could always see the screen door open first before the regular door opened. And we knew as soon as we saw that screen door open, we had T-4 seconds to turn off everything we were not supposed to be watching. Nostalgic. I love it. Because I grew up in Oakland. We had this channel I grew up in Oakland, California. We had a channel called The Box. I don't know if it's still around because I don't live in the Bay anymore, but The Box was great. I remember being introduced to so much great music because it just was, they would play video after video after video, and it was local artists and national artists, and it was great. It was such a wonderful, wonderful time to listen to music. There was no audio, there was no auto-tune. Sometimes people were just out of tune singing and you just dealt with it. It just was like, well, that's what they sound like. You know, now they will tweak and twinge your voice and everything sounds so polished, but yeah, different time. I love the nostalgic question. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. I love hearing about how, the artists that you grow up listening to, how it infuses who you are and informs your musical decisions going forward.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Grateful for all of the examples, all of the influences. They all leave a little mark. It's a good thing.
I'm going to get into a more serious question now, but sure. I know we talked a little bit before about mental health and imposter syndrome, but did you have any other barriers, internal or external, that you feel comfortable sharing that you had to work through, or maybe that you're still working through to this point in your career?
Well, I appreciate that question. I've given this answer once before, and it has gotten me in trouble, but I will say it is the truth of my experience. So let me preface all of that by saying that sometimes I've gone into spaces where I was completely dismissed as a vocalist, as an artist, because the feeling that I received and even the feedback I received was, well, of course you're great. You're Black. It's in your DNA. It's like, well, technically it is in my DNA because I come from a lot of singers, but I went to college for music. and I studied and I practiced and I still do all of those things. So it was really rough to feel discounted, disregarded, and dismissed. And I've had that a few times, but I am also grateful because that same lesson helped me realize that it doesn't matter what other people say or how other people feel, what other people think. That's none of my business. What I can do is show up and be my best self and give my best self. And that's what I try to do, even now coming out with the new project. To be a tiny fish in such a giant, crowded pond can be very intimidating when I feel like there's so many different artists doing such great work and so many people that have eyes on them. And this is such a weird industry, as we all know, because nobody cares about you until everybody cares about you. And so it's this weird dichotomy of that. But I've had to just, one of the things I tell myself internally all the time is eyes on your own paper. Continue to do the work, continue to work, and continue to just be the best person that I can be, because the only person I'm in competition with is who I was yesterday. Everything else is out of my control and none of my business. But yeah, that can be a giant challenge, but I really try to be as intentional as I can with my words and with my actions and with my thoughts. First and foremost, to just keep going and keep trying and keep growing. And I try to tell myself, you know what? It sucks that you're going through it, but it's okay that you're growing through it. That's the goal.
I love that. And thank you for sharing, what you experienced, even though it was not that you may have expected. And I'm certainly sure you probably don't want that to happen again. I love that you are focusing on what you need to do and you've pulled a lesson from that. And I think it's a lesson for everyone to think about, to focus on yourself, to not worry about whatever other people think, because you can't, I'm not saying it's impossible, but usually you can't change other people's perspectives,
Very much so. And that's the thing, I see people sometimes, they really try. They really work hard to try to change other people's opinion. I really try to just stay in my own lane and go, hey, it's all good. I'm going to focus on what I can control and really try to release everything I can't. And that's just going to have to be, okay, that's all I got at this moment. Mm-hmm. So, and I try to operate from that space. But yeah, it can be, there's so many things going against us as musicians, as artists, because I heard it the other day and it resonated as well. I heard someone say the biggest drug for everyone nowadays is attention. Everybody's just trying to get attention and trying to find new ways to grab attention and then hold on to it and keep it. And, I get it. It's difficult, but have a plan for sure, but also really take care of yourself through that process and I try to be intentional in my thought life about not comparing myself to other people and just eyes on my own paper, Loren. And that's what I'm trying to say.
I love that. I was curious, how has your life in the creative arts been different than you imagined it would be?
Wow. Great question. I'm so grateful because I have gotten to not just accomplish a lot of things I didn't think I would ever do, but I've gotten to travel places I didn't think I would go to and even just have so many experiences that are so surreal. And, because we're always grinding and life is so busy and so hectic, I really try to be intentional about taking time in to breathe in whatever it is we're celebrating, whatever that accomplishment is. Just even if it's a moment, take that moment to breathe that in and celebrate that, because it's gone before you know it. Those moments become memories. And I remember the first time when Get Out, the Jordan Peele film came out, and I was like, okay. I asked one of my best friends to go see it with me. I was like, okay, I have a solo in this movie. I'm going to go sit in a movie theater and listen to my own throat. And then it was just this surreal experience. And then I didn't really know what the movie was about. When we were recording the sound check, they were trying to explain it. And I was like, what is going on? I don't understand this at all. So I didn't know what I was getting into. But then after watching the whole movie, we were just like, whoa, this was not what we were expecting at all. And then the movie ended and we were getting up to leave. And my homie, and I'm so grateful he did this, he said, no, let's sit here. One, because that movie was heavy and we just need to process everything we just watched. He's like, but two, your name is going to roll through the credits as soloist in this film. So just let's sit here and let's wait and let's watch your name. And even having that experience was so unforgettable. So through all of it, I am I'm so blessed. I'm so humbled. I'm so honored. I am so grateful because one of my mantras is I'm going to work hard and let life surprise me. And life has surprised me over and over and over again. So, yeah.
That's excellent. And I remember that movie. And I mean, it's been many years since I've seen it, but it was so brilliant, but also so scary. Yes. In a way that only Jordan can do.
Very much so. So layered, so layered, so layered. And yeah, I was just it just gave like this great uneasy feeling. I was like, wow, I'm so unable to just exhale because of this film. But yeah, all of those experiences from seeing that to getting to travel to Australia and London and Paris and things, I'm so grateful. And to get to sing with the LA Philharmonic, what an honor, what a joy. I'm just constantly shocked at, wow. Because I've had those moments where I've been in the room and go, how did I get here? And for all of it, I'm just grateful. Super grateful.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Couple more questions for you.
Please.
One is, what's something you wish you had known when you first started?
Ooh, great question. I wish I had known that it's okay to ask for help. I know that now. I did not know that then. And even now, that's something I have a hard time doing because when it becomes your baby, the art we create, because it starts with this vision and then you put all the time and effort and money into recording it and graphic design and promotion and all of this stuff. And even from my live concerts, I've gotten to a few of my live concerts recently and realized I was doing so much stuff behind the scenes that when I finally got to the microphone to sing, I was like, do I know this song? Did I make time to rehearse this song or was I doing everything else? Okay. And then I've had to just say, hey, y'all, excuse me real quick. Give me 4 minutes to go and peep these lyrics I wrote and remember how all of this goes. So I think that's a lesson. That's been a giant lesson for me. It's okay to ask for help. And that's not weakness. I think life can be a lot sweeter when we are all a community and we ask for assistance and support, even if it's not even somebody showing up and doing something. If it's something as easy as, hey, I'm going to reach out to somebody that I trust and that I feel safe with and say, I've got a lot on my plate and I'm having a hard time dealing with it. Can you just keep me in your thoughts? And if you have any good energy, any good vibes to send me, I'd appreciate it. But just that is so great. And I have to give a shout out to my homie, Zach. I have a friend, Zachary Finnegan, incredible trumpet player in Chicago. And we do that for each other a lot. He lives in Chicago. I live in Los Angeles. And we do a lot of, hey, I've got a lot of things I need to accomplish today. Would you just keep me accountable so that we can check in later today and double check that I got all of these things done? And even that has been a giant help. So that looks different from person to person, but please never be ashamed to ask for assistance. It's not weakness. You are a human being having a human experience. So please do that. Please learn from me. It will save you so much great everything.
Excellent. Loren, I love that you have learned what works for you and learned from your experiences and are sharing it with us. I mean, I feel like you should also, not that you need more to do, but also be a motivational speaker. Right? Totally. Or just bring it into your shows, be like, okay, so this is the part where I motivationally speak. Grab a cup of coffee.
That is a great idea. And I'm always looking for random things to do in my shows. I used to do a Q&A and that was always funny and crazy and off the rails. And maybe I will ponder that. It's like, guys, get comfortable. It's motivation time.
That's right. Loren's life lessons. Your 5-point plan, right?
That is a great idea. That's a great idea. We're going to ponder it. We're going to ponder it.
Oh, love it. Love it.
That is a great idea. That's hilarious. Okay. I'm going to put that on the list. Ponder it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sneak in a quirky / fun question here.
Absolutely.
All right. If you were to have dinner with any creative person, dead or alive, who would it be and where would you take them or what would you have for dinner? Take them out to dinner or have for dinner?
I love this question. Oh, my goodness. Top 2 people that's coming to my mind right now, it would either be Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson. Where would I take them? Someplace private so they wouldn't be bothered. My immediate thought was to say Mexican food because I really love Mexican food, but that feels super heavy. And both of them were super tiny people. So I feel like that might not be their jam. But let's see. Can I give a specific type of food, or should it be a specific restaurant? What would you like? How can I best service this question?
Well, this is your dream here, so. Far be it from me to suggest where you and Whitney and Michael are going. So
I love it. If I could, I would have dinner with either Whitney or Michael, and I would have them for dinner at my Aunt Barbara's restaurant in Long Beach, California.
Ooh, there you go. And then your aunt would be like, I can't believe you brought this cool person over here. You're my favorite nephew.
Absolutely. And you know what? That was even a bigger one. I actually lost my Aunt Barbara this past April. So, But she had this beautiful restaurant that I didn't even get a chance to go to. But yeah, I would have loved to have that. So yeah, if I could have that, that would be an awesome thing. That would be an awesome thing. Lovely. Yeah.
Okay. Just curious, would you like one more quirky question before our last one?
I am happy to be here for whatever it is you would like, my friend. Bring it.
All right. So what is one of your favorite movies and what does it reveal about you?
Oh, Lord. Okay, let's see. Favorite movies. Let me start this by saying I'm really bad with favorites.
Me too.
However, I will say the two movies that come to mind are favorites. They are both classics. They are both super moving, and they both have incredible scores. So I think that will say a lot about me. The first one is E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Oh, good one.
Yes, starring Dolly Parton. No, that's just E.T. I love that one. And I love the first Color Purple starring Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah Winfrey. That's one of those movies. There's a couple of movies that I've watched on planes where I cried so obnoxiously. And you know, when you think you're doing a good job of hiding it, but especially on a plane, which we absolutely need to have an entire conversation about why planes are so small. You guys probably can't tell by listening to me, but I'm 6'4" and I have a size 16 shoe. So me on a plane is a prayer request. So here I am on this tiny airplane seat, and I scroll through the little TV and it says they have The Color Purple. I was like, I haven't watched The Color Purple in a minute. Let me watch this. I was just a gross, obnoxious mess. There's tears falling down. There's the snot bubble. And I'm trying to use the little napkin that I just had my pretzels in, just to keep it together. That was one time I cried horribly on a plane. And the other one, this is another one I highly recommend. The Mr. Rogers documentary. Oh, so good. Cried like a baby at the end. So much so, a lady that was sitting next to me, she just put her hand on my shoulder and she said, "Excuse me, sir, are you all right?" And I was like, it really is a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Just horrible crying. So yeah, those are the two films that are classics. I love the score of E.T. John Williams did that score and so many others. What else did he do? He did Hook. He did Indiana Jones and Star Wars. That man is just incredible. But I love that score. And Color Purple is just moving all the way through.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that you're so okay. Even though you're on an airplane, you were totally okay with just being at one with your feelings and whatever was happening with you. That's beautiful. That's fantastic. I love that. Even though we're only seeing each other virtually and we've never met prior, I was like, I get it. I dig you. I can't tell you how many times I've cried on a plane just from whatever,
Yes.
Music in your ears,
That part. And I think that's the beautiful thing about art. It's subjective, but it's this living and it's this breathing, beautiful thing. And I always tell people who are on my team, they always say, even when we started working on the album, Kevin Andre is the name of my producer, incredible human being. And he said, what are your goals for this? I said, I'm just trying to create art that lives long after I die. And I think when you can create art and you can experience art that moves you, hopefully you never forget it. Like, oh, may I ask a question of you?
Of course.
Have you ever experienced a performance that was so moving that when it was done, no one applauded?
That's a really great question. There were times where no one applauded for like a minute or so, but then an eruption of applause.
I love that.
Like a pausing of applause. Yeah.
Get it. It's so awesome. I got to experience that once and I never forgot that. I was at some of my friends, they did this concert and I remember this lady, she sang a song. I'm not using her name because I don't know what her current experience is and with music and things. So, but she sang this song and I remember it was this ridiculously gorgeous moment. And when the song was done, no one applauded. And I remember thinking, how epic is that? We were all so moved by that when the song was done, it was like, don't applaud, don't move. Like, let's just breathe in that moment we all just had. It was so great. I think that's the beauty of art. It's just, it connects to your heart and it has this power to change, to inspire, to transform. May we all use it and use it wisely.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'm so glad you had that opportunity to be in the space and to hear that and have that happen. And yeah that must have been so moving just to, and to be able to keep that with you.
Yeah, because that happened probably almost 2 decades ago. And I still remember it. I still remember what they were wearing. I still remember what that room looked like, what that room felt like. It was palpable. It was wonderful. Yay, art.
That's right. Yay, art. So powerful, so powerful. So last question for now, because I definitely want to have you back on the show in the future.
Yes, please. I'd love to be back.
Wonderful. Wonderful. In your own words, and please take your time with this, what does living a creative life mean to you?
I love this. Being honest, being courageous enough to be honest. I think that's what that means to me. It's so easy to get in our heads, and go, oh, that's not good, that's not great, or I can't say that, or this needs to be better, or this needs to be a stronger hook, or will people like this? Can I chart this? Will people add it to their playlists? Will this compete with whatever genre Beyonce's singing today? All of those pressures pop up, and it's like, no, just show up right where you are. Just show up right where you are. Be right where your feet are, and live creatively. Just be. Be a human that's being.
Oh, fantastic. Yep, we definitely need
question.
Thank you. We definitely need the life lessons with Loren. We do.
It's so funny. I was talking to my homie yesterday on the phone. He was like, "When are you gonna do a podcast?" I was like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh.
But now you're the second person to be like, you should probably be saying things. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we'll see. You
never know. Maybe that's a 2025 goal, right?
Absolutely. And I'm always saying, let life surprise me. So we'll see what's around the corner. But I cannot tell you how grateful I am. And thank you for these questions. Like, I really appreciated this.
Well, you're welcome. Listeners, please check the show notes to get the bio and links to connect with Loren. He's a wonderful guy, amazing singer. Definitely check him out. Check him out when he comes on tour in your city. And as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Like the show? Have a question? Stop by the Facebook and Instagram pages. Links are in the show notes, or search for Creative Piecemeal Podcast on social media and click follow for all the latest.